Hello, my name is Protik Mukhopadhyay. I'm an entrepreneur and an author. I'll be hosting the Reimagine Sales Systems podcast, where I'll be bringing some of the industry thought leaders who will be sharing their go-to-market strategies for their business systems.
Hey everyone, I have the pleasure of talking to Joe Booth today. He's the VP of Sales Ops and Business Development at SecureAuth. Welcome, Joe, to our podcast.
Thank you, Protik. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I've known Joe for many years, and it's good to reconnect, Joe, with you. As you probably have seen about our podcast, we talk about go-to-market strategy and some systems, and then priorities. But love to know your journey. Like, what's your journey in the enterprise world? How did you become, in your current role, a VP? And a lot of our listeners would kind of learn from your experience. So Joe, love to share. If you can share that, that'll be really awesome.
Sure, happy to do it. My journey into enterprise software is kind of a crazy one. I do not have a traditional background. I've realized from talking with a lot of my peers that a lot of people went straight out of college, undergrad, master's degree, got their first job, worked their way up. I did not do that route. I got a degree in psychology, and my first job out of school was as a substitute teacher at my old high school. And then that winter, I moved to Montana, and I actually spent 10 years working in the snow education industry as a snowboard instructor and as a ski instructor. And I'm talking about working at a ski resort, snowboarding 100+ days a year. And every season that would go by, I would get a certification. So the beauty of the ski and snowboard industry is that it is a professional association with national standards. And those national standards can get you jobs and pay raises. And of course, you get to increase your knowledge about how to be an effective snowboard or ski instructor. And as I got deeper into the snow sports industry, eventually I became a high school snowboard coach for many years. And then I became a ski school director. So running an actual ski school with 30 some odd instructors reporting into me. We did ski, snowboard, winter camps, everything that you can think of. And I developed a very unique skill set while I was a snowboard instructor. And that was communication and teaching and understanding how people learn and motivation. And all of those things have been critical for helping me move my career and progress in enterprise software. So eventually, as my snowboard career started to fizzle out 10 years in, I moved back to the Bay Area, and a friend of mine was an account executive at a company called Right Now Technologies, which got acquired by Oracle. And he said, Joe, you would make a great business development rep. It's the entry-level sales position. He knew that I already had a pretty strong understanding of technology because I'd been building websites for my friends that were in the action sports industry for many years. So I was developing websites, building Facebook and MySpace applications way back in the day. You remember MySpace? Some of my first APIs I ever learned about MySpace. Anyway, I became a sales rep for Oracle as a BDR. And I did that for about a year. And then I became an inside sales rep for a services company. And then I became an outside sales rep and eventually landed at the company where you and I met when you were doing professional services. And I was a sales rep for many years there, holding a bag, traveling, doing all the fun stuff that sales reps do. And I did that for about 4 years. And then eventually I started getting into the sales enablement. And this is where my career in snowboarding and in education started to really help me when it came to communication and putting together learning programs. So I got into sales enablement and did that for many years. And then about a year ago, I got the opportunity to take over sales operations for my current company, as well as get back to my roots in business development and manage the business development team as well. So now I have sales ops, sales enablement, and business development all rolls up to me. There's about 9 people on those teams. And as you know, we cover the full basket of business development is top of the funnel. Sales operations is the middle of the funnel. Provisioning licenses, we've got deal closed, and enablement is getting everybody trained. So it's sort of like my background in snow sports brought me to this position, and it's been an incredibly fun journey of learning and progression and meeting all sorts of fascinating people.
Thank you, Joe. That was a really insightful journey, and I think coaching is so critical. So glad that you're able to mentor your team. Awesome. In terms of SecureAuth or even some of your prior companies where you had a leadership role, what is your go-to-market strategy? If you can share a little bit, because I feel that directly impacts your business development and your operations team.
Yeah, it really does. So the company prior to SecureAuth, we were more direct. We did a lot of work through the channel, but most of our deals came direct. Now here at SecureAuth, we are very much focused on selling through the channel. And we work with a handful of great partners that resell our products and get us into accounts. And then of course, when we have accounts that we're getting into, we always bring in one of those trusted partners as well. So the channel strategy is primarily driving our business today, although we still do quite a few direct deals. When a company comes to you and says they demand to go direct, and they don't make any exceptions for that because they want to work directly with the vendor, of course, we're happy to comply with the customer's wishes. We want to provide excellent customer service, but the channel is critically important, developing those relationships and also training our partners on how to sell our product and making sure that they can deliver the value prop of what we do here, because what we are in is a very crowded space, just like every company out there is. It's incredibly competitive. So you have to make sure that your partners know how to sell your product. And we spend a lot of time enabling our partners and setting them up for success.
That's awesome. Was there impact of COVID, like as you see 2021 shaping up and 2020, was selling through channel easier or harder, or was it not a factor?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. And depending on who you ask, you're going to get a different answer. And depending on the industry that they work in, I think makes a big difference on how their company has been able to ride this wave of COVID.
Right.
We're in the cybersecurity space. Security is critically important. And what a lot of companies realized as they transitioned from being a office-based company where majority of their employees came into an office every day, sat down in front of their laptops, accessed applications all through the firewalls within a building. We are in a different space. We are in the security space where we enable customers to have remote workforces that are able to access the applications that they need from their home through single sign-on or through some sort of multi-factor authentication. So we were very fortunate this last year as companies tried to figure out what a remote workforce looked like. We were able to help them secure that remote workforce. So we did have a lot of deals stall because of the economy, of course, but we also had a lot of customers come on because this was the compelling event that drove them to finally get their security right when it comes to enabling a remote workforce. And our partners were critically important to that. Now, the downside is we couldn't get in front of them. We couldn't go to their offices. We couldn't train their staff. We couldn't take them out to lunch and do all the fun events. But our marketing team and our enablement team did an incredible job of pivoting and holding a lot of remote events and making sure that we were still in front of our partners and still in front of our customers as much as we possibly could be. So I'm super proud of the team. I think the team did a great job of pivoting last year, understanding where we fit into the marketplace, how we could take advantage of the economic turmoil, how we could position ourselves when it came to the way that companies had to react to COVID and the type of products that they would need to enable a remote workforce. I think we did a great job of putting ourselves into a position of success. And it also helped build our pipeline up a lot for this year. We've had a lot of carryover of deals that slipped from last year, or a lot of deals that they weren't aware of who we are and what we do, and now they are, and we have great sales cycles that are in the late stages, and we're going to see a very successful year this year.
That's very interesting. And yeah, I agree with you. I think no one could have predicted this. And especially if you look at the recent, what was the colonial pipeline and the ransomware, right? I mean, I don't know if what was the actual reasons behind it, but yes, cybersecurity and network security and these things are very critical for any organization, right? In terms of go-to-market systems, right? So let's talk about more on the sales ops side. Like, what are the systems you have deployed internally in terms of trying to enable salespeople to quote faster or show them the right prices?
Yeah, we are a Salesforce shop, so we run everything through Salesforce, and most of the applications that our sales team or our marketing and business development team use all integrate in Salesforce in one way or another. So we do use Salesforce Sales Cloud for our CRM. We also use the Salesforce CPQ tools. And if there's any of my former Apttus colleagues listening right now, they probably think that that's crazy that I'm using Salesforce CPQ when I literally made a living selling against them for 4 years, right? when they were SteelBrick, and then Salesforce acquired SteelBrick and relabeled it Salesforce CPQ. So there's a lot of irony now that I'm not only running sales ops, but I'm using SteelBrick as our quoting tool of choice. But yeah, we're using them in a lot of the plugins for some of the great applications that are out there. We use SalesLoft, great tool for biz dev and for marketing. 6 Sense is a marketing tool that we use. Drift on our website. Outreach for getting phone numbers and contact information. LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and of course, finance has their whole slew of tools that they use as well.
Yeah, very interesting. And then in terms of either recent or upcoming projects related to some of the systems, do you have any plans or any major overhaul, any re-implementation around these to enable sales ops to function better?
Yeah, there's a handful of things that we're really looking forward to getting in place as we get into the remainder of Q2 and Q3, and hopefully maybe get some of these projects done by the end of the year. And the first one is advanced approvals. You know, I will say one thing about the approval stack. If there's anybody out here listening to what we had at Apttus and now Conga, those approvals were great. I would say that I miss the capabilities. The building everything out in Salesforce CPQ advanced approvals has been pretty tough. We do have a great Salesforce administrator, a guy on my team named Ed Castillo, who I could not live without. And Ed's doing a great job of putting together our AWA, our advanced approvals and workflows. He's doing a great job. So approvals are big. And then also some analytics and reporting. We used to use a tool. We found that it wasn't really suiting our needs. And now we're evaluating some of the tools that are out there in the market when it comes to revenue intelligence. Those are the two big things that we're focused on right now, is analytics, reporting, and then also making sure that our approvals and everything is buttoned up around there.
Awesome. No, that's really good insights, Joe. A lot of our listeners are practitioners, so they're also looking for some best practices. And I know these are some projects that are being planned, but from your past experience, any suggestions, like when you're taking up a project, how do you look at the project readiness? How do you essentially ensure that there will be adoption at the end of it? Like, what are some of the things you guys are planning or you've seen in the past that can make a project go really south or go successful?
Well, I think what can make them go really south is when you don't have everybody on the same page and people have different requirements or different expectations, or they think that everybody's on the same page, but they're not, right? We've all experienced times when you put in weeks on a project and then you present it to the executive team and they're like, what is this? This is not what we were expecting. Even though in your mind, when you gathered all the requirements, you thought that there's the validation and that it was there. So communication breakdowns are always tough. So if there's anybody listening, I'm sure everybody's got best practices and advice that they could use. The number one thing that I would say is over communicate. Anytime you have doubt, ask the question. Even if you think you're going to feel stupid or that they might think that you're the dummy, be the idiot in the room. Ask the questions that are simple. And If you don't understand something, you've got to get that cleared up, because people will go in with expectations that they think everybody knows what's in their head. They might think they're excellent communicators. It takes two to communicate. You have to ask the right questions. You have to validate what you're doing along the way. Shouldn't wait till the end. So yeah, just to get everybody on the same page. I think a lot of sync meetings and
right.
Yeah.
Got it. No, go ahead. I'll let you complete your thought about communication. That's really good insights.
Yeah, I just think it's important. It's often overlooked, right? Especially in the software industry where we think everything is easy. It's not, right? I mean, you know this, Protik. You run a services company. You understand technology certainly better than I do. This stuff is not automatic. It's not magical. It takes work, and it takes skilled practitioners to run a project, right? It's not like they can tell you what they want you to do, and you could go into a black room for a week and come back and have it be perfect. There has to be iteration. You have to keep a project on track. And that is a skill set in itself. And I think it's undervalued. I think that people that have not built technology, they don't realize how hard this stuff is to do. They think everything is just drag and drop and clicks. In reality, it can sometimes take custom development. Sometimes it can take getting into Salesforce, not only at an administrator level, but as a developer level. And that's a skill sets right there. So being able to communicate about timeline, real expectation of how long things are going to be, not being afraid to push back, and then understanding priorities. You know, this is all stuff that everybody's got to get on the same page.
Right. That's insightful, Joe. We're almost at the end of our conversation. I'll ask you something interesting. I think it's more around your coaching and how you help others. So we have a lot of young listeners, people who are early career folks, either working in sales ops, analytics roles, or business analyst. Like, what would you recommend them if they want to work in our industry and at some point of time in their career become a VP of sales ops? Like, what would you recommend? What are some of the feedback you would share with them?
I would say take every opportunity that comes to you. You never know what sort of small project or small ask might turn into something big. Like for myself personally, when I was a sales rep, I got really good at beating steel brick. And my boss came to me and said, "Do you think you could put together a playbook on how to beat these guys?" And I was like, yeah, I could try. I'd never built a playbook before on sales and certainly how to beat a specific competitor, but I put one together that was decent. And then we scaled it out into the entire company. And then I went from being a sales rep to running competitive intelligence. And then from running competitive intelligence into running all of sales enablement. And it just one thing led to the other. As you challenge yourself with these projects, you're going to develop a deeper skill set that's going to help you advance to the next project and the next strategic priority and the next company-wide initiative. And the next thing you know, you're sitting in front of the CEO and he's giving you instructions, he or she, and you're taking notes and you're presenting back your recommendations and you're collaborating. And it's not just that you are an analyst taking orders. Eventually you work your way up if that's what you want to do, and you're collaborating at an executive level. Mm-hmm. But it takes a lot of time. You have to develop a skill set. You can't rush into stuff. You can't just expect like, hey, I've got an MBA and I'm 2 years out of college, and let me tell you, I know how to run a global company. If that is you and you think you're the next Mark Zuckerberg, I say quit your job right now and develop the next Facebook. Don't waste any more time. But for the other 99.99% of us that are slightly above average intelligence, work your ass off to develop a skill set. Develop it over time. Take opportunities, learn from people that are smarter than you, that have more experience than you. And then as you progress your career, you could be the one start making decisions. And I guarantee eventually you're going to reach a level, because I see my CEO doing this all the time, where they make decisions based off of asking really good questions. And these people at the top, they realize that they don't know it all. So if you're at the bottom and you think you know it all, I got news for you. You don't. I certainly don't. I know that you don't. Work your way up, develop the skill set, collaborate, take every single opportunity that comes your way and do the best that you can at it, and do it with a positive attitude and an open mind.
No, that's a really interesting point, Joe. And I do kind of appreciate that curiosity and having ability to ask right questions is way more important than to have the right answers, right? Because I think those allow you to sort of have a broader perspective, and whether it's in your career or personal life, it's always good to have questions. So that's awesome. With that, I would really like to thank Joe for his time. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to Joe, but this has been special because he's been a guest and he's supporting our podcast. So thank you, Joe, for joining us.
Absolutely, Protik. Thank you. It's been great knowing you over the years, and I know that we'll continue to work together, probably for decades to come, I hope.
So with that, I would like to wrap up this podcast. Thank you all for tuning into Reimagine Enterprise Sales Systems. To listen to more exciting podcasts, please visit my website, protikm.com or protikm.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, and other channels that you follow so that you'll never miss your show.